Hello, hello, good evening, Singapore. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our viewers around the world. And welcome to our Bayanihan Talks webinar series. I'm Charlene Roscoe, and it's my pleasure to be your host as we dive into the future of technology. So tonight, the webinar aims to explore the basics of AI, from traditional systems to the latest in generative and agentic AI. So you'll see how AI is used in real world. So how the tasks like communication, automations, and decision making across industries, including business, healthcare, educations, and the creative sector. Well, of course, our webinar is sponsored by none other than the PNB Singapore. For your remittance and account opening needs, just log into PNB Singapore applications to send remittances, pay your utility bills, and other government institutions like SSS or even Pag-ibig. So mga kababayan, stay tuned. We'll also be giving away 3 global Filipino cards with a top-up value of 50 Singapore dollars that can be used internationally, and of course, other consolations prizes. So stay tuned for that later on. So without further ado, let me introduce to you our speaker for tonight. And let me share who is this person. Okay, so he's a graduate Bachelor of Science major in Information System. So professional certification, if you can see on the screen, ISSAP, Certified Information System Security Architecture Professional. So CISSP, Certified Information Systems Security Professional. OSCP, Offensive Security Certified Professional. CIPM Certified Information Privacy Manager. He's also the PCI QSA, which is the Payment Card Industry Qualified Security Assessor. ISO 47201 LA or ISO Lead Auditor or AIMS, okay? ISO 27001 Lead Auditor ISMS. ISO 22301 Lead Auditor BCMS, and PMC, which is Practicing Management Consultant. And this is Mr. Lim Quan Heng. He is the Chief Delivery Officer of Sekuro. So this person is actually Mr. Q, as what he wants me to call him actually. So Lim Quan Heng, or Q in short, Mr. Q, is the Chief Delivery Officer at Sekuro, where he spearheads the company's consultancies, delivery initiatives. With a strong background in cybersecurity and digital transformation, he has successfully led complex projects such as, of course, ensuring measurable value and lasting impact for clients. His strategic visions and leadership have been instrumental in positioning Sekuro as a trusted industry leader, while his dedication, of course, to mentoring and fostering a positive work culture has empowered his teams to consistently deliver excellence. Through his commitment to innovations, collaborations, and client satisfaction, Quan Heng, or Q, Mr. Q, continues to play a pivotal role in navigating industry's challenges and driving sustainable business growth. So let's welcome, please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker, of course, again, Mr. Lim Quan Heng, Chief Delivery Officer of Sekuro Asia.
Right. Thanks, everyone, and thanks, Charlene, for
Welcome,
the
Mr.
very
Heng.
warm welcome. Nice to see everyone here, and I'm glad you're hopping on for this
Yes,
session. I
thank you,
promise it'll be
Mr.
an
Q.
exciting one.
Yes. So we were very excited actually, Mr. Q, of what you can actually share to everyone and to our kababayans or to all the viewers that we have for today. Please take notes, of course, because later on, Mr. Q will be giving some questions to the audience, and that, of course, will receive a reward after. So, Mr. Q, the floor is yours, and you may start your presentation today. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll share my screen now then. All right. Okay, so today we're going to cover a bit about AI from hype to reality. So all of us watching the news, even looking at stock prices, there's a lot of hype building around AI, the GPUs, the infrastructure needed to sustain this technology. And I think I'm sure at some point all of you have also encountered AI. It's integrated to our WhatsApp channels. It's integrated to a lot of the tools we use, even in your office. If you have Copilot for Microsoft, you would have also encountered it at some point. So let's dive into this AI revolution and separate fact from fiction and what can we do about it. I'll skip this page because the introduction is already done. So for today, we'll talk a little bit about the AI evolution, talk about generative AI, which is the most common form of AI you see out there today. ChatGPT with image generation, even video generation, traditional AI, as we have seen in the past, agentic AI, a bit more autonomous, and it is AI in a slightly scary form, AI workflows, shortfalls, governance, as well as AI ethics. So first, artificial intelligence or AI. It's one of today's most talked about technologies, but the meaning can vary quite a bit, depending on who you ask. We have the traditional general AI. These are computers that try to simulate thinking, and then you have what we call generative AI today, which is not actually thinking or reasoning, but is putting patterns and words together or images together. So they all work quite differently. So first, let's talk about artificial intelligence in general. So you have your AI machines, your artificial intelligence, which is a term that refers to machines performing tasks that usually will need human intelligence. And of course, our definition of AI over time has changed. In the past, it used to be smart algorithms. And people commonly refer to those as AI, especially from a marketing point of view. These days, you have generative AI, you have algorithms that can actually spot patterns and reason better than even humans can. So in terms of examples, you have AI that can do some reasoning or simulate reasoning, problem solving, learning, and understanding of language. And approaches there are many different approaches actually, but they all come from the same basis. It's all around rules-based systems in modern machine learning. What does this mean? It means we define a set of rules. It could be how do you classify something? We tell the AI how to classify something, and over time it learns how to classify on its own. It could be spotting patterns in sentences, so it knows what is the next word that will usually come after these patterns of words. But let's dive into it. So the first thing we'd like to see here is how fast has AI progressed. So as you see these two videos over here, the video on the left, this was generated in 2023 using Stable Diffusion, which is one of the first open source video generation AI out there. And it's became a bit of an internet joke, right? Because someone generated a video of Will Smith eating spaghetti. So after that, there's something that's been going around. They call it the Will Smith eating spaghetti challenge. So every time there's a new algorithm or something open source that comes up, people will try to run this experiment to see how good AI has gotten. When you look at the latest version of Google's video tree, if you have a Gemini Pro subscription, it's free for educators and students, for example. You can test this out. It can generate an 8-second video for you, and this is the result of that generation. Now you can see that over time, the training of the algorithms have gotten really good. In the past, the images are distorted. You can't see the faces and patterns very well. The noodles and the actions are distorted. But now you can even see the wrinkle in the eyes. You can see the muscles move in a realistic way. So we've gone very far, and we'll continue to go further, most likely. So in terms of the AI evolution, how did we get here? Well, we started with traditional AI, or what we call traditional AI. So this is AI that can classify data or predict outcomes. So for example, one of the most common places we use this is in email spam detection. If an email is received from your email account, it has a similar name to a contact that you know, similar but a slightly different name. Maybe the letter O is replaced with a zero. It will flag it up as something suspicious. If you're receiving emails from IP addresses or from sources that you don't usually receive emails from, it might flag it up as suspicious. If you get a very large attachment that could be suspicious, it will also flag it up. Fraud detection, credit scoring, these happens in our day-to-day. If you spend a large amount on your credit card, you might get an SMS from your bank telling you, we receive a transaction. And of course, the intention is if it is you did not make the transaction, you see the SMS or the message, you call the bank. So all these were the basis of traditional predictive AI. They spot patterns, and they are able to identify when the pattern is not right, something is not normal. And now we have generative AI, or what we call, or the easy way to think about it is creative AI. It produces new content such as text, images, audio, video. So you have ChatGPT, DALL-E, Midjourney. Now AI these days can even compose songs with lyrics and background tracks for you. But keep in mind when we say produces new content, it isn't exactly the case. So the AI is taking what it has learned, what was put into it to train the AI, and it basically mixes it up, puts it back together, and that becomes that new content. So it's not exactly new, but it is sufficiently different for it to seem new. So it's a bit of controversial topic, especially because the AI has to be trained on existing content such as music that artists make, books that were written. So there's some copyright issues involved in this. And then we have agentic AI, autonomous AI. So of course, with all previous AI systems, they are designed more as passive systems. You interact with the AI system, it gives you something. Agentic AI is meant to be more autonomous than that. It's meant to run by itself in the background to make decisions and do and make actions on your behalf. So you can see this already happening with smart grids, customer service, and some operations. And this will probably become a bit more common in the future. Now, some examples over here, right? So ChatGPT is able to predict words step by step. In the early days of ChatGPT, if you upload a math question that's an image, it wouldn't be able to answer you. If you upload a math formula and tell it to solve it, it also might not be able to help you in any way. And the latest iterations, I think it's at iteration 5 now, they call it version 5. It is able to solve math questions very well. It can even do coding, do some programming for you. And it can even generate images of words and letters, which it didn't used to be able to do in the past. And then we have DALL-E, Midjourney. Some of these, there are open source versions of these you can run on your computers at home. Of course, it'll be a bit slower without the computing power or the graphic processing power. But you can run these at home also. It predicts pixels from text prompts. So what this means is you type in a sentence, it can generate a matching image for you. And lastly, the most important thing to note, this is not human thinking. It's actually just advanced pattern recognition. Of course, calling it pattern recognition is going to offend a lot of AI professionals. It's a bit more complicated than that, but at the most basic form, it is pattern recognition. It is you telling it to do something, and it recognizes this is a matching pattern, and it goes ahead to generate that. Now, of course, talking about all these forms of AIs, there are a lot of opportunities for implementation. So from a very practical point of view, in business, we have seen this being used to improve efficiency, to automate tasks, and to help decision making. So one thing AI systems are very, very good at is number crunching and word crunching. In our own company, we host our private version of AI, so we can ensure the privacy of it, we can ensure the safety and security of it. But one thing we do is sometimes we will throw in 80-page reports into it, tell it to crunch a summary, and it can do it. It can probably do it faster and perhaps maybe as good as a human can. But of course, you can't just take the result. Even today, you still have to go and take. It can produce an initial outcome for you. You still have to go and edit it. You still have to make it work manually. But it is getting better, and in terms of efficiency, it definitely speeds things up. Now, in terms of healthcare, assisting in diagnostics, research, and personalized treatment. Now, one very notable form of an early version of AI in healthcare is detection of cancer markers in X-rays. Now, X-ray images takes a trained eye to be able to spot things like tumors or potential issues. And sometimes in the early stages, it's very hard to spot these things. So the early AI systems were trained on image recognition for cancer markers and lungs. And the end result of it, even in the early days, was that it was able to spot it better than most doctors could. And today it's become commonplace to use tools like that as part of their day-to-day work. And of course, in creative industries, it can generate content and art, music, design ideas. There have been attempts by some large music publishers to create virtual idols. The traditional virtual idols still needed humans to create content at the back, write the songs, do some motion recording, and then you put a virtual image around it, so you see the idol dancing. Now these days they do this completely from scratch. There have been some experiments around this to see if they can monetize these virtual idols. Of course, the idols never get tired. They can generate songs as long as you have power and the algorithms support it. And just a lot of experiments around this field right now. In terms of education, from learning and tutoring to content creation, AI today have forced us to change in a way on how we think about education. Things like rote learning, things like asking students to write a report or analyze a document, and the traditional ways of trying to make sure that no copying is involved and they create original content, these things have all, in its own way, gone out of the window. Right now, we need to rethink what what critical thinking means. How do we train that? How do we ensure students in the classroom actually look through content, and that helps them in their growth. And all these would need to be, well, we need to adapt and change with this new technology. Now, earlier on, it was mentioned that there are prizes to be had. The first question is about to come up. So when the question comes up, I'm going to read it out, and I would like all of you who have the answer to type it into the chat box. Now, when you type the answer into the chat box, you need to type in the letter as well as the full answer behind. So there'll be a letter and a string of words that will form up the full answer. So the moment I flash it, everyone's going to scramble and write it in. So be prepared, and I'm going to switch to that page now. So what does generative AI primarily do? A, analyze past data only. B, generate new content like text, images, or music. C, store and retrieve information. Or D, run traditional rule-based programs. So as you get the answer, type in the letter and the full answer and the text behind. I'm going to give everyone a minute. Oh, we have our first answer there from Bobette. Okay, right. I'll go to the next page because you got it exactly right. It is B, generate new content like text, images, or music. And thanks for typing out the letter and the full answer. So you got that right. We'll take down the name, and after this session, we'll distribute the prizes. Okay, so we talked about some summaries of the types of AIs earlier. And let's talk about traditional AI, what we call predictive AI. So the purpose of these systems are to classify, forecast, or detect patterns from data. The benefit is you can make smarter decisions, you can do auto-painted analysis, stronger security. Things like analysis of DNA, your genome, things like analyzing possible medical or possible forms of medicine, all these have benefited from traditional AI. So some examples, the healthcare sector, I've mentioned earlier about lung cancer X-rays, right? Cancer markers in lung X-rays. That is an example that's stated here. Early disease detection for medical images. This has become a lot more efficient today. And I mean, all of us are healthier for it. In terms of finance, fraud detection for safer transactions. Now, these days, we all know there's a lot of phishing happening. There's a lot of fraud targeting individuals, consumers. AI systems have been put in place from anywhere from the government sector to banks to try to catch and prevent fraud cases like that. And the retail sector has been very helpful. So one of the largest cost centers of a shop, like a traditional retail, is around your ability to stock items just in time. So you don't hold too much inventory and you don't order too much, or you also don't order too late or too little. So demand forecasting, inventory optimization plays a big role in ensuring these shops are successful. And AI has played a big role in this. And lastly, of course, customer success, customer service, chatbot for instant customer support. I'm sure all of us have encountered it. In the very early days of customer service automation, we were all frustrated at one point. It was through the phone, and you say press 1 to choose option A, press 2 for option B, and press 0 to speak to operator. And I think all of us probably press 0 immediately to speak to operator. Now, these days, it's become a lot smarter in that way. The chatbots have become a lot better at responding, helping you find answers and they also know when to redirect you to a human operator when it's needed. No, generative AI. The purpose is create new content, boost creativity, save time, personalizes experiences. Now, the last case over here, personalizing experiences, has really gone very far thanks to generative AI. You can see a lot of creatives, even on YouTube, being able to mesh AI with traditional art forms. So it's still early days for these. And in terms of the use of AI to generate full movies, some have attempted it. And AI in its form today is probably not good enough to create something award-winning. But if you couple that with traditional methods, with the creativity of people, you can go very far. And we've already seen this happen in simple things like even ads. Now, there's a recent example I saw. Every year, Coca-Cola, the soft drink brand, they come out with a Christmas advert. It's always around Santa Claus, with a red sleigh and of course Coca-Cola bottles. And what I heard was this year's advertisement was completely AI generated. It looks just as good as the previous years. So that's how far we've gotten. Now, some examples and use cases. In terms of marketing, some applications such as Jasper, ChatGPT has been used to generate ad copies, emails, visuals quite well, and empower small businesses to run campaigns without agencies. Now, for things like marketing, AI improves our lives in very small different ways that we probably don't even notice. Even small things like personalizing emails, um, from anything from, well, this example will be a bit annoying, but personalizing ads for you. If Amazon, for example, sends an email to you, it won't be a generic selection of products. It will be addressed to you by name. It will be around your latest browsing patterns. It will be around what they predict you would probably like to see. It's become personalized to that degree. Of course, sometimes this is quite helpful if it actually suggesting what we would like to buy. And then for healthcare, in silico medicine designs new drug molecules. So we all know, even from simple things like drugs, slightly different formulas or chemical makeup can have very different effects. Efficiency can go up by a whole lot with slightly different designs. And things like AI systems like that accelerate treatment development. The manufacturing, General Motors uses generative AI to optimize part designs. You can improve quality, you can reduce costs. So for mass manufacturing, everything is about cost efficiency. If you can lower the number of modifications you need to make to a block of metal to get a working engine, or you times that by 50,000, you're saving a lot of time and effort. And in terms of optimizing of production lines, optimizing of design of parts has been widely used, not just General Motors, but even from complicated items like rocket engines. AI has been used to optimize designs. And education, of course, teachers apply AI to create lesson plans and multimedia, tries to make learning engaging and accessible. Now, these days, one of the most common forms of self-learning is from websites like Udemy. There's been AI integration done where trainers will put in their content into these systems. And as we learned early on, what AI systems like that excel at is crunching information. You put in a large amount of information, you tell it what you want to find, it will throw it out for you. And we have seen that being used already. And of course, we have agentic AI with the goal of acting independently to achieve goals with minimal human input. You can automate complex tasks, save time, and enhance productivity. So some examples and use cases, software development, rapid and cursor AI agents, they build full apps from prompts. You can tell it what to build, it can build it for you. It enables non-coders to create functional tools quickly. But of course, there are some downsides to this. Most of these applications they generate are probably good for a proof of concept. But if you do security testing on it or you do sustained functionality testing, things often break. But they form a good base in terms of the design, and it enables people such as people in the product field, people in business development or sales to express what the customer might want. So it helps them put their words and into form, literally. You type in the sentences, the AI takes it in, it generates a working example for you. And it makes communication so easy between these teams. So that's just one example with software development. Customer support, AI agents can handle inquiries 24/7. improve service availability and response time. And of course, they are able to identify where to bring in a real human. Security operations. So Google's SOC Manager agent autonomously detects and responds to threats and protects users from cyber attacks. Of course, this is just one example. A lot of our tools today, anything from the tools we install on our endpoint devices or laptops, anything from that all the way to cloud security tools, a lot of them rely on AI in some form or another. Because in terms of cyber attacks or security related items, speed to respond is often the most important thing. And nothing responds faster than something that is always running in the background and doesn't need to rest. And DevOps, in terms of infrastructure, technology infrastructure, Cloud AI manages cloud infrastructure using natural language commands and simplifies IT operations. Now, in the early days, when we wanted to set up a new server, we had to actually buy hardware, stick it into a server room, and join the wires together. And at some point, we had virtualized infrastructure with VMware and the like, and that evolved into what we call infrastructure as code. You write code, send it to the cloud, and they will generate servers for you. Today, you don't even need to write code to do that. You can type out in verbal form what you want to achieve, and they can spin up the infrastructure for you. So it's made things a lot faster and easier. Okay, now we are hitting another quiz question for the second prize. I hope all of you are ready. I'm going to switch over to that slide now. And remember to put in the letter as well as the full answer. So the letter and the words behind. So what makes agentic AI different from regular generative AI? A, it only generates images. B, it can take actions on your behalf. C, it requires human input for every step. And D, it uses no machine learning. So what makes it different? You can put in your answers in the chat now. That was very fast. Okay, we have our first answer. And it is also the correct answer. So the answer is B, it can take actions on your behalf. So that's the whole point of it. It is autonomous. Okay, we'll now saw the winners together at the back. Okay, everyday AI use cases for office workers. So how do you use AI in your day-to-day life? And before I go into this, I need to say all this has to be done only after you have checked in with your organization and your organization's IT team, because often there will be security concerns and it needs to be done in a specific way. Now, for email communication, smart replies and drafting, tools like Gmail, Outlook can suggest responses. They can also write emails automatically. They can analyze emails for you. They can even do things like scheduling meetings for you. Language polishing, Grammarly or ChatGPT to improve tone, to enhance clarity and grammar. Meeting summaries. So AI tools like Auto AI or Microsoft Copilot can summarize calls. I'm not sure how many of you have tried it before. I've tried the Microsoft Copilot on Teams. It can actually summarize calls for you. It can generate actionables. It can generate the different perspectives and summaries of the individuals in the call. And basically, it can just take the whole call, turn it into a 5-minute reading piece, and generate actions for you to distribute. So it's quite a powerful tool. Skills needed around these are just basic prompt writing, summarizes email, for example, and familiarity with the productivity tools. So most people today will be able to use this in their day-to-day. And then we have data and reporting. So in the past, if you want to create dashboards, we have to dig through specific tools, Power BI, and so on. These days, if you throw a Excel spreadsheet into an AI system, Google Sheets, you can generate charts. You can use that to provide further data insights and analysis. Not just simple charts, but things that you used to need to put a lot of effort and work into generating in the past. In terms of forecasting, of course, AI is all around pattern and trend analysis. So AI is able to predict trends, unsurprisingly. So with sales patterns, with customer behavior, and then with error detection, AI can flag inconsistencies in spreadsheet reports. And not just that, even in the security field, AI can flag things like odd patterns. For example, with you logging on to your computer, it can detect possible attacks, can detect odd actions taken by a user way before manual users can. Skills needed is just simple things like spreadsheet literacy, ability to interpret visual data, and knowing what questions to ask, knowing how to form the questions in a way the AI can generate from the data you provide. Yeah, of course, we have workflow and task automation. Calendar management, AI can schedule meetings now based on your availability and preferences. You can say, please avoid putting meetings into the morning, and you can take that into account. Can generate to-do lists, prioritize tasks, send reminders. App integration, some tools like Zapier, Microsoft Power Automate can connect applications together and make them interact and do things to automate workflows. And of course, skills needed is understanding of your own business workflow and some basic logic. If email is received, then create X task, and the willingness to, of course, experiment with automation tools. So I think in the last, I guess, 20 years ago or so, business IT transformation was the term of the year, I guess. Now these days you can achieve the same and more with workflow automation such as these. And of course, out of all of this, we will have some negative examples. Now, there was a case with Air Canada where a chatbot was used as an experiment, and there was a customer that used this chatbot to make an inquiry about refund of fares. Now, the chatbot advised incorrectly can book a full price ticket and request a refund later. Now, Air Canada chose to refuse the refund. The Civil Resolution Tribunal ruled in the customer's favor. So Air Canada's defense was that even though the chatbot said you can book a ticket first and get a refund later, as part of the chatbot response, it included a link to the FAQ of Air Canada. In the FAQ, it states you can't get a refund for any reason. Now, the defense was shot down because from the judge point of view, it was the airlines responsible for the chatbot's misinformation. You cannot ask a customer to make a decision between is the chatbot accurate or is the FAQ inaccurate. But what we can learn from this is that customers are held liable for AI provided information, even if it's wrong, and even if it was unexpected and couldn't be detected before that. So it set a precedent for AI accountability in customer service. And then we've DPD chatbot meltdown. This is a delivery firm. A chatbot was manipulated to start swearing at customers. It insulted itself, and someone prompted it to write poems about how bad the company was, and it proceeded to do that. Of course, an incident like that will go viral on the internet quite quickly, and you get damaged brand reputation. So AI without proper guardrails and testing can lead to dangerous outcomes like brand damaging behavior. Although arguably this is quite mild out of all the possible outcomes we can have. And we also have issues that we need to get good at addressing as people start to use more and more of AI in the day-to-day. So shadow AI and data leakage. We used to talk about shadow IT. Servers that you didn't know still exist, people bringing in their own equipment into the office. Now the problem today is employees use unapproved AI tools such as ChatGPT to boost productivity, and they often paste sensitive data into these tools. Now, so today, ChatGPT doesn't do it anymore. But at one point, ChatGPT did collect conversation information, metadata, device details, and usage behavior. Part of it is to train the AI itself, and part of it was for reporting they needed to do to civil authorities. So we need to be aware that information put in the AI, even though it's a computer system, doesn't mean that nobody can retrieve it at any point later on. And there's also an issue of lack of governance. Many companies deploy AI without involving security and compliance teams. There are no clear policies around data access, retention, or model behavior. And later on, you'll see there are a lot of issues that come with lack of clarity around how the AI was trained, what kind of data was used, was the data bias. Is the AI capable of making decisions that could harm individuals without human intervention? So there are a lot of concerns about things like that we just need to be better at designing around. In terms of the regulatory landscape, we'll talk a bit about some of the items that have come up. So AI regulation is a fairly new space. The first comprehensive AI Act was enacted by the European Union, the EU AI Act. So this is already in place. It already applies today. most of the countries around the world, including Philippines and Singapore, have started to draft AI acts. And a lot of these civil authorities, they have raised concerns or attention to areas which are closely relevant to AI as a system. So often these will be things like data privacy related acts around security of data and so on. So most of the general trend of where everyone is going is towards risk-based AI rules. So most of the case we can see AI rules being risk-based is phased in over time, so it's not all in one go. You need to comply, and they have extraterritorial reach because the nature of AI and the nature how it is implemented often means that it will not only affect people within a specific country's borders, it will affect people across the borders too. Another thing that came about is governance by design. Documentation, testing, transparency, ongoing monitoring. Now, it's not only about documentation, testing, transparency, and monitoring about the person or the company implementing the AI. It's also about the one who trained the algorithm, the original algorithm. It's also about the one who distributes it. It's also about the one who uses it to an extent. So governance by design applies in many stages, and also about compliance approach. What is your use case? What is your role in this? Are you a provider of the system? Do you deploy it? Are you a distributor? And so on. So these are just generic examples. And now let's look at the AI regulatory status in the Philippines. So Philippines does not have a single enacted AI Bill of Rights law. There's a House bill that was under deliberation. It proposes establishing human-centric rights and introduces a legal framework. And something that was established was the Future Philippines Council on Artificial Intelligence. So this organization is responsible for reviewing the policies, evaluating the impact, and setting governance rules, and to inform the public and create a developer code of ethics. And then we have the Artificial Intelligence Board, which will act as a supervisory body for AI development, use, and application, and conduct investigations related to AI systems. This is where we are today. Now, I'm about to go to another quiz page. I hope everyone's ready. Okay, here we go. What is the main goal of the AI House Bill introduced in the Philippines in May 2023? A, is it to ban the use of AI in workplaces? B, to provide free AI tools to all citizens? C, to create a legal framework for AI rights, for user rights in AI use? Or D, to replace manual jobs with AI systems? Let's give everyone a minute to answer this. You have to put the letter and the full answer behind also. You have to type out the entire sentence over there. Okay, we have a few answers. So the main goal of the AI House Bill introduced in the Philippines in May 2023 is C, to create a legal framework for user rights in AI use. Of course, let's go through some case studies. Now, generally for AI risk, we see them in four key areas. First is data privacy concerns, ethical considerations, bias in AI systems, and security vulnerabilities. So in terms of data and privacy concerns, AI systems, they require massive data sets. They need a lot of data to train on. Anything that you see generated from AI, anything from images, songs, text, they are able to generate those things because they have seen similar looking data before, and they are pulling from those data sets. So there's a risk of personal data misuse because often these data sets will contain personal data. Now, second is generative AI concerns. Generative AI models can memorize information from training data, and there's a potential exposure of sensitive or personal data. However, the good thing is there's improved collaboration across different regulatory bodies today as these dangers become obvious. You see regulations such as GDPR and the EU AI Act echoing one another, and they mandate strict data governance as well as requiring anonymization of personal data. So go through some case studies now around these items. So ChatGPT was banned in Italy for a short period in 2023 due to privacy concerns around GDPR, concerns over personal data protection compliance. So this was lifted after ChatGPT implemented additional privacy safeguards. But of course, AI systems, they are undergoing very fast development, which means sometimes the guardrails are a bit looser, things move very fast. So we all need to keep an eye on our own data and what we put into these systems. And there's a success case here too. This is with Apple on-device AI. So the local processing with Siri on Apple devices. Now, what does local processing mean? It means that the AI algorithm runs on your own system, on your own chip. It doesn't need to send any information over the internet or out of the device. Now, the good thing about this is, well, the systems, they tend to be not as powerful or effective as cloud-based AI systems. It does help with privacy. And then in some cases, we have security vulnerabilities where AI models are vulnerable to what we call adversarial attack. Some of us will call it penetration testing, offensive security. Generative AI can be exploited for phishing or also malware generation. The same things that give generative AI the power to customize marketing emails, to customize text for individuals, can also be used to create customized phishing emails. So ChatGPT in 2023, there was what we call a prompt injection attack. So a prompt injection attack is when you can send commands to an AI system to tell it to ignore some of the guardrails that were built in. So it showed risks of malicious instructions when that happened. So this is one example. And a positive example, Google Safe AI Research. This is a program set up by Google to develop good defenses against image recognition, for image recognition. So we do have some good examples that are happening. And one thing I'd like to cover is also bias in AI systems. Now, the problem with AI systems is they are based on their training data, which means if your training data is biased, your AI analysis and outcomes will also be biased. And this is dangerous in a few ways. If you use it in hiring processes, filtering CVs, for example, credit scoring, or facial recognition systems, this bias will not be beneficial. So Google in 2018, pretty early on, tried to implement an automated hiring algorithm. It was scraped after it was discovered to be discriminating against women. Obviously not a good thing. And one positive example we have is IBM Watson's health system, Radiology AI. Now, depending on where you live in the world, we all have one head, two arms, two legs. But depending on where you live in the world, your body structure will all be slightly different. Now, IBM Watson Health aimed to create a cancer detection AI system, and obviously to do this effectively across multiple population types, you need to put in a lot of varied data, and they did it successfully. So it improved cancer detection rates in early trials. The models are trained on very diverse data sets, not just specific population types and sizes. So that's a success case. Okay, so we have reached the end of the presentation. Apologies, I know it overran a little bit. This is the question and answer section. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, do put them into the chat and we'll see if we can address them. Okay, I don't think we have any questions, but if there are any, you can always send them in, and I can answer them offline also.
I have a question. Hi.
Hello,
Hi, can you hear me? Hi.
I can
Hi,
hear you.
this
Yeah.
is Minnie. Yeah, I do have a question. How would you be able to detect a photo or a video or presentation that's actually made from AI and not reality and not a real one? Is there an indication where we can detect that it's a fake
Hmm.
presentation picture?
As of today, there is no simple way to do it. So some organizations such as Google, Adobe, they have come together to create some sort of a certification program for images. So when you take a photo of your phone, right? There's what we call metadata tied to the photo. So aside from the photo image itself, Sometimes it will contain information like date, time, the common ones, even things like GPS, that means the location where you took the photo at, even things like your camera settings. So working in a similar manner, some of these systems are designed to tag information if the if the picture is actually generated by AI. So this is already in process. But if you're talking about general images and videos and so on, right now there really isn't any easy or good way to do it. One thing to note though is, for example, for the European Union, based off their EU AI Act, if an image or system you're interacting with is AI based, by law, the vendors, the system designers will need to let the user know that is the case. So if you're talking to a chatbot, the chatbot will state very clearly, this is an AI-powered system. If you generate an image, it should have a tag on it that states you're generated using AI. But of course, people will try to circumvent this. But it's a very long answer to a short question. The short answer is there's no easy way right now.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that. I mean, it's not easy because I read news where people get scammed over like tourist destination, but it doesn't actually exist. So just wondering how we can avoid that.
I'll give you a scary example. I know it's not what you
Okay.
asked for, but if you look it up, there was a recent, I think it happened in July, a case in Hong Kong where a finance executive transferred 25 million over multiple transactions as part of a scam. And how they conducted the scam was they generated images of the CFO and they called the guy into a conference call. So when he entered the call, it was a picture of a conference room with people he recognized and knew, asking him to make those transactions. And because it happened over multiple transactions, you know that it was effective enough that it wasn't detected. After a few times, then it was detected. And that was a pretty major case because it made the news because we haven't really seen the effectiveness of this kind of generated videos, but now we know. And yes, so we just need to be careful. A lot of these would involve things like multiple channels in your business processes. You receive an email, you call the person to confirm. You don't trust the email. You get on a conference call, you type out a request. Can you confirm that you want to make this request? Things like that. But yes, no easy way. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, thank you too.
Oh, okay. Charlene, you're muted, but if there are no other questions, we can move on to the awards presentation, right?
Can I ask one more question? Sorry,
Oh, sure. Okay.
sorry. I wonder whether it's an AI-backed algorithm, like, I'm getting irritated by when I search an item, and then when I go to any site on Facebook or internet, then that same similar items will all be over the place. I mean, it keeps repeating.
Oh,
Is that an AI thing, or is there any way to sort of stop these
yes.
irritations?
Yes, but
That's
not
all. Thank
directly.
you.
That is Google's ad ID. So whenever you browse to something, it takes down your computer ID, and it looks for things that are similar that you might want. So it's not AI directly in that system, but at the back, AI is running to recommend related products and pages. But the only way to overcome that is to browse, for example, incognito. Then every time you browse, you use a new incognito version, so it doesn't relate the data to your computer ID. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Shall we move on? Awards presentation. Right.
All right. I don't know what happened to my audio, but I do have a question from our FB Live, Mr. Q.
Okay.
So if you can actually give us a little bit of your time to answer this question. So let me just read it out to everyone first. One moment. Okay, so the question is, what is the difference between local processing and others?
Okay.
This is from Montana Julie, watching us live on Facebook.
Okay. Well, local processing just means the AI algorithm is running on your own hardware, your own CPU, and your own phone or your own laptop, for example. Unfortunately, one other thing AI systems are known for is they are very power hungry, and they are very resource intensive. So most AI systems today, they don't run locally. They send your query to a data center somewhere. And there has been a lot of environmental concerns about the power use of these things. At some point, there was a report released around how people saying thank you and goodbye to ChatGPT is causing power use is causing X amount of power being used. So it's excessive power. But anyhow, the difference is on one case with local processing, the information never leaves your device. From a privacy data security point of view, of course, that is preferred. But I guess the balance of that is that you're not getting a very powerful algorithm running.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Q. I do have a question, of course, for you, given that with all of those, those benefits that you have mentioned about AI earlier on. So this one, I believe it's more applicable on the workplace and skills. So how will AI basically change the way people work? I mean, you can specifically mention a specific sector, and what skills should we start developing to stay relevant, given that there is this, fast-paced changes in terms of adapting AI.
I think the first sector that AI hit, and we can still see the effects today, is of course the technology sector, because they are the ones who are most familiar with AI. It gets implemented first. That said, it is still not a perfect solution. So if you just look it up online, there are a lot of systems out there that say they can develop applications for you by just typing in text. But of course, creating a proof of concept or initial application is very different from creating an application with code you can understand, maintain, and secure. So as of today, I would say the use of AI are still being explored. In some cases, they have replaced our traditional processes. So in the past, if you wanted to create an application, you would get someone to create mock-ups or screens of what your application might look like. So you can visualize. If I buy something, this is what my cart looks like. This is how I click to go to the next page. But these days, you can just generate that with a couple of sentences and a good algorithm. So these sectors would quickly become, I guess, taken over by some of these processes, but generally they cannot replace people completely. You still need someone in the mix, optimize them, that knows what to type into the system and how to filter things out. In sectors that require a lot of data crunching, there has been a lot of experiments to use AI to optimize and or to basically analyze and filter data. So this will include sectors such as the legal sector, around things such as even in the sector of the medical sector, where a lot of prior knowledge and data, historical legal outcomes and cases needs to be analyzed. And of course, there are downsides to this. We have seen this happen a few times where cases get thrown out of court because the docket contain information that is not actually true, phantom cases that were made up. So it's the same outcome. At the end of the day, AI can speed things up, make things easier, but the human needs to come in, verify the information, check that everything is actually correct, before you can use the data. But in terms of skill set needed, AI honestly isn't any different from when Excel spreadsheets were first created. Back from the day where it was just calculators and a notepad, and then with Excel we can build formulas in, which made it very powerful. This evolution is slightly more far-reaching and impactful than that. But eventually we come to see it the same way, I believe.
So we can say that AI is definitely very helpful. However, of course, it will not totally replace some of the works that requires, of course, skills of a human being. Thank you so much, Q, for that. And we have another question. I think suddenly the questions are raining. Okay, so there is this one question from the FB Live as well, wherein I believe it was already answered earlier on when Miss Min is asking. So I think the question is, okay, let me just make sure that this is the right question. So the question is, okay, so that it's me. Okay, scammers, how they detect in case, sir. So, but then I guess
Okay.
it was answered earlier on by Miss Min's questions also. All right,
Mm.
but there is another question that just came in. So the question is from Robert Leonardo. So he asked if any specific AI technology that can prevent government corruption. Just yeah, this is his
That
question.
that would be tough, I think, because there have been, I mean, controversial topic, but we have seen AI systems being modified in today's life, where we can see AI is being adapted to produce biased answers on purpose to fit a specific agenda, or to analyze things in a specific way. And sometimes that intervention is needed, because if the AI is trained on biased data, then you need to push it the other way, right? But we have seen it being used um, for bias on purpose. So I would say to that question, it's a tough one to answer, because it can actually be used to enable bad things too, not just prevent them. So it really depends on how we use it. But if you're talking about AI's ability to number crunch from a finance point of view, things like that, they can definitely do it very well.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Another question for you, sir. This is from the Gong Filipino SG, also on our FB Live. So the question is, may I ask if AI can detect if someone is using in a wrong way, example, terrorist?
Not by itself, but if you look at the history of ChatGPT and demands for data from ChatGPT from the civil sector, you can see that requests has been made in the past for ChatGPT to retain user data, retain user queries and the system responses as part of an investigation. So it's just like any other system. It has been forced to retain data and present them in a court of law for cases like that. So the latest demand, I think it was just days ago, it was demanded that ChatGPT surrender information it has stored, but anonymize it using ChatGPT itself. So I think the answer is yes, but it will be just like any other system.
All right. Okay. So yeah, I mean, so many things that AI can do, and also there is restrictions in, I mean, in everything that a certain applications or initiatives can actually do. Definitely, there is some also restrictions on that. So thank you so much, Mr. Q. So I believe at the moment, I don't see any more questions for you, but you mentioned earlier on, if ever there is any that they are curious to ask you, definitely they can reach out to you as well to ask furthermore about AI. I mean, I know AI is on the lead at the moment, but definitely we just need to make sure that we use it responsibly. Right. So
Definitely.
with all of the things that we do. So thank you so much again, Mr. Quan Heng Lim, or Q as you want us to call you, for of course giving us all of this knowledge and informations about artificial intelligence. Okay, for today's knowledge, definitely our audience receives a lot of this information that it can be useful when they are actually using AI. Any last words from you, Mr. Q?
No, thanks for being a
Okay.
good audience, and thanks
All
for the
right,
topic.
thank you so much. And of course, we will not be going yet because we will be awarding our winners, of course, for the today's participations and Q&A Q&A through by Mr. Q basically during his presentation. So I can see, yeah, I think everyone can see awards presentation. Are we going to verbally just share this, or let me see who are the winners Oh, wow. So congratulations to our 3 winners that will be receiving $50 SGD. All right, SGD from PNB that they can use internationally, and of course, well, they can claim their prizes from the PNB. So congratulations, Mr. Bobet Arguez. I hope I pronounced his last name right. And another viewer, of course, from Zoom wins the prize, the second winner, which is Siyasi61892. And lastly, of course, Mini Lau. Congratulations. So prizes to be collected from PNB Singapore. So just mention, of course, your name, that you are the right winner. Okay, so congratulations, all right, for answering correctly Mr. Q's question earlier on. And for our consolation prizes, congratulations to Rosaline Viernes and of course Eva for the being part of this Q&A earlier on. So prizes to be collected also still at PNB Singapore. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, for tuning up with us. And of course, I would like to acknowledge the PNB head office, all right, office of the CISO DPO team. Thank you so much. Okay, and we will be sharing a closing speech, of course, from our very own Mr. Bien, who is currently watching with us, but I believe he will not be able to personally share his closing speech, but he prepared a video for everyone. So kindly listen to his closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lim Quan Heng, Chief Delivery Officer at Sekuro Asia. To all our viewers, thank you for your active participation throughout tonight's webinar. My name is Bian Manya, Treasurer of Philippine Bayanihan Society and PNB General Manager. Congratulations to all the winners. You can claim your prize at PNB Singapore branch located at the 3rd floor of Lucky Plaza. We've covered a lot today, from exciting opportunities AI offers in different industries. AI is a tool to enhance, not replace, our expertise. Join us again January next year as we continue to discuss about the importance of AI on this 3-part webinar series. This is Bian Manya saying thank you and good night, everyone.
All right. So thank you so much, Mr. Bien. All right. For bienvenido, Mania, for your closing remarks. And again, everyone, have a good evening. It's Thursday night, one more day before the weekend. Stay, of course, safe. And don't forget, if you wish to use some facilities of Bayanihan, please do contact them. So thank you, PNB Singapore, as well, for sponsoring today's webinar. So again, mga kababayan, Bayanihan po, Philippine Bayanihan Society Singapore, or PBSS, is actually the Philippine Presidential Awardee Kaanit ng Bayan in year 2021. So if you wish to use facilities or anything that you want to coordinate with Bayanihan Center, you may visit the location itself at 43 Pasir Panjang Road. All right, zip code 118503. And don't forget, you can also message them at Bayanihan Center at singnet.com.sg, or kindly just call them to speak directly to the person in charge at 647-43700. And of course, we would like to invite everyone ahead for the upcoming Bayanihan webinar, and we'll definitely provide all the information in due time. And of course, please follow their socials. We have Facebook page, Instagram, of course, and we also have the support website that you can actually click on. So that's the www.giving.sgpbss if you need to see more information. And don't forget to subscribe to their YouTube channel as well, which is Philippine Bayanihan Society Singapore. And for any sponsorship opportunities, they are also looking forward to receive those. And of course, don't forget, just message them if any assistance that you can extend to Bayanihan Center. Okay, and of course, for any donations, we're flashing our Pay Now QR code. Of course, Bayanihan needs your support. So just coordinate to the person in charge. You may look for Miss Cecil or Miss Min at the Bayanihan as well. And the rest of the other officers, of course, of Bayanihan Center. Okay, so thank you all, everyone, and for joining us today. Definitely, we are so grateful to have all our audience, of course, and we hope that you get so much of the knowledge from our speaker for tonight. So again, I am Charlene Roscoe, and I'm so grateful to have you all today, and of course, looking forward to have you in our next sessions. Have a great evening.
Charlene, can we have a picture